What's up everybody, you're very welcome along to Monday night's late night agenda on a game week finally. I know the international break still has a little ways to go, but the Reds are back in action on Saturday against Arsenal. Of course, you know, we'll be covering that, we'll be building up to that, but as is always the way, when I take a couple of days off, the news starts to break. You're probably wondering, a lot of people, about the Konaté stuff. I got you covered, don't worry about that. We'll be chatting about that tonight as well. We've got lots of other transfer gossip and rumours as well to get through. We may have a little look ahead, maybe a slight glance ahead to the game coming up at the weekend. Of course, we've got that massive Champions League quarter-final against Real Madrid coming up the week after as well. So look, I hope you're all well. I hope anybody that's in the UK managed to get out today, maybe play a little bit of golf or a little bit of football. Or I know you guys are starting to open back up today, so I hope that you all got outside and got a bit of exercise or had a bit of fun or whatever it is that people like myself that don't exercise do, because look, you know what I mean, I'm not out there running and stuff like that. But look, I've missed you guys. A few days off and I'm a bit nervous. I won't lie. I'm a bit nervous sitting here in front of the camera again. It's amazing what 4 days off can do to make a lazy person like me feel even lazier, because, you know, it's no secret, I don't like to do much. I like to get away with the minimum amount possible in life. Thank you very much, guys. Really, really great to see you all in. So look, where do you want to start? We go straight into the Konaté stuff. We get dirty real quick here. No foreplay, straight into the good stuff. I want to give a shout out to our sponsors, of course, Boyle Sports, without whom we wouldn't be here making these videos. So thank you to the good folks at Boyle Sports. Let's have a little chat about Konaté. Right, so here's what we know, and then we'll work from there. So I will cover the injury prone stuff as well, that I know a lot of people are going to be thrown into the chat, and I'll get to that. But what we know via David Ornstein, who was the first one to break this story, suggests that Liverpool are close along, or far along, in their progressions to have a look at potentially signing Konaté from Leipzig in the summer. Now, he will have 1 year left on his contract when it comes to this summer, and he has a release clause of €40 million. Now, Mr. Ornstein seems to believe, and I have it on good authority from somebody that's relatively close to him, that there is a lot of potential in this deal happening. But I've got to point out that is always the case when Liverpool are looking at a position, whether it be centre back, forward, left back. We always have 1, 2 or 3 options. It seems at this moment in time like Konaté is the most likely of those options. So let's break it down and look at a few things. Firstly, the release clause, €40 million. On the face of it, sounds like a no-brainer. Sounds like you go in, put the release clause down on the table, get the player. But 1 year left on his contract. Being Michael Edwards being the fella that he is there room for negotiation there? Do we care if the club negotiate? I always like to see the club try and save a few quid where possible, but obviously not at the potential of losing a player. So let's assume that we go ahead of the release clause, which is €40 million, somewhere around about £36 million. What do we know about Konaté? Well, we know that he's a damn good centre-back. Let's get that out of the way first. We know that he's in and around the same height as Virgil van Dijk. I think maybe even an inch or so taller than Virg. He's got a great aerial dual success rate. But the thing that keeps coming up, and this gets mentioned by a lot of people, is that he's got an injury record, or he's injury prone, which is very harsh to say of a player who's just 21 years of age. But let's look at the hard facts around the reported injury. So I've got the list up here in front of me, and there are a few little bits and pieces. There were 7 days in 17-18. There was a minor knock in that one, but the real main injury crisis here came when he missed 225 days, 14 days and 96 days between the 1920 and 2021 season because of a torn muscle fibre. Now, it's important to point out that this was the same injury. So this was one really bad injury that perhaps he was brought back a little bit too early. I would not go as far as to say he's injury prone, because yes, there was the ankle injury this season that he missed 49 days for. But if you look at the other 3 clumped together, the 225 days, the 14 and the 96, it seems to suggest that it's just that one injury that wasn't fully cleared up and, you know, is a freak horror injury that can happen to anybody. So I don't like to call somebody at 21 years of age injury prone, because it was one bad injury, and 46 days for an ankle injury could happen to absolutely anyone. That being said, it's not squeaky clean. You know, I do have to address the fact that there was issues there. But when you're talking about 36 million, You're talking about maybe adding an Ozan Kabak, who, as far as I'm aware, the club haven't fully decided on yet. But let's work on the assumption that they'd go with both of them. And why not go for both of them? We know that Konaté is another player that Liverpool have looked at extensively, close to signing him in January. But to me, Konaté, it seems like a no-brainer. I have to say, of the pair of him and Upamecano, I probably would prefer Konaté over Upamecano, and a lot of people are probably going to be saying, Craig, you're mad, but imagine him and Van Dijk alongside each other. And we know Daya Upamecano was going to Bayern Munich, and ideally Leipzig probably wouldn't like to lose their centre-back pair, but they don't really have a choice with regards to Konaté because he just has 1 year left, and that buyout clause is in his contract, so it makes him very targetable, let's say. Now, you'll see people telling you that this is done, that Liverpool have triggered the release clause. They have not. At this moment in time, they are interested. It is a bit of the ways along. Yes, that is all true. Liverpool have a firm interest in Daya Upamecano. But let's not get ahead of ourselves just yet. Let's not start making the welcome to Anfield videos for the dude. But we've got every right to be excited and every right to have a little look at the lad, see these clips and try and figure out, will he fit into our system? I think that he will. I'm sure you do as well. But there are different variants of how we believe about these things. So let me lash it into the chat for a minute, see how you guys are feeling about it, and see if you think he is the right one. Somebody said, immediately Eddie said, I'd rather have Botman. As far as I'm aware, mate, Liverpool actually never held a serious interest in Sven Botman. That's everything that I've been told suggested that was something that was put out there to try and drum up interest in the player. But again, it is your opinion, Eddie, and you are absolutely entitled to it, mate. What else have we got? Please, no, we're not going to talk about Ramsey. We're talking about him. I want Kabak, says this other gentleman, who's Owethu. I hope I pronounced that one okay. And this might not necessarily be instead of, because I've got a feeling that Joe Matip could be on the way out in the summer. So let's work off my assumption. Could be wrong, not saying it's right, that Joe Matip gets the door this summer. You've got Joe Gomez, you've got Virgil van Dijk, you've got, let's say, Konaté, if he comes in. You've got Ozan Kabak. You've got Nat Phillips, who may or may not stay around. And, of course, we've got Ben Davies, who nobody knows what's going on with. So I don't think this would necessarily mean that we don't go out there and sign Ozan Kabak, because let's be fair about this. The £18 million that we'd have to pay for him, on top of the loan fee, plus maybe a few quid in add-ons, that's still very, very cheap. So I wouldn't say it's one or the other. I genuinely believe that there was a firm chance of us signing both of them, both Konaté and Ozan Kabak, who, by the way, still has to prove himself and still has time left this season. It's important that I point out to you guys that Liverpool don't have to make a decision on Ozan Kabak until June. There is no obligation to buy. There is an option to buy that they have to trigger before June. Well, at least that's what I'm aware of anyway. Shay Trainer says, Matip out, Kabak and Konaté in, good business. I fully agree, Shay. Look, we all have a soft spot for Joel Matip. We all like seeing Joel Matip play football, and we all know that Joel Matip is a quality centre-back. But we also can't lie to ourselves. We have to admit that Joel Matip, unfortunately, carries a lot of injuries and picks up a lot of stuff with his back lately, and then he's had some muscle strains and, stuff that just stops him really perhaps shown his full potential. Because a fit Joel Matip who can see his way through a season without injury would be an asset to any team, because he's a very, very good centre back. But I think maybe it is time for the club to allow Joel Matip to move on. And as I listed off earlier on, there is quite an extensive list of centre backs then that would be available to Jurgen Klopp going into next season. James said Konaté suits our playing style. Well, I just want to ask a question into the chat, and to anybody watching the video back later on as well. On the release clause, which I said is €40 million, around about £36 million, depending on the exchange rate. If you're Michael Edwards, would you just go in and just trigger that? Or do you think there is room for manoeuvre there with the fact that there's 1 year left on Konaté's deal at the end of this summer? Now, of course, if you try and negotiate, you try and drag it out, there is the chance that somebody else could come in, scoop him from right underneath you, sell him a story, sell him a plan. We've seen it happen with Chelsea and Werner. They pinched him from under our noses before because they came in, put the money on the table, gave him a deal he was happy with, and it was all done and dusted quickly. So, we've got to be wary of that in this scenario as well. But I would genuinely love to know what you guys think, because I'm a bit of a wheeler dealer and that I always like to try and save a little few quid if possible. Maybe we could see something involving one of our players perhaps as a sweetener. I don't know. That's just me completely just plucking it out of thin air. Is Konaté like 100% going to happen? I will never ever come on here, mate, and say anything is 100% going to happen. What I can say is I have very few really credible sources that I claim, but I do know people that do know David Ornstein, and I know them well enough to trust what they have to say. And from what I've been told, it looks far along. But again, it's football. Anything can happen. That's why I'm not on here saying Liverpool are going to sign Ibrahim Konaté. I'm saying, or Ibrahim Konaté, it's possible. It's very possible, but it's football. And he's not the only centre-back that Liverpool will be looking at. There will be other options we spoke about before when we were looking at options in January. When we were looking at options for a backup left-back. You know that we had those players that, you know, we looked at the guy from Norwich who ended up, the guy who ended up going, Jamal Lewis, who ended up going to Newcastle, Costas Tsimikas, and there was a couple of others as well. Liverpool always have 1, 2 and 3, even with Diogo Jota. At that same time, Liverpool were working on a deal for perhaps Ismaila Sarr. So, you know, you got to negotiate on maybe 2 or 3 fronts. You will have your A, your B, and your C, or, you know, your preferred deals. And, you know, a lot of things come into these equations. Is it worth it financially? What's the player's track record like? How will he fit into our system? Is he going to be an absolute starter? So many things that, you know, we don't have to worry about with football fans. We just need to know who's coming in and hope for the best. So, it is an exciting link, though. It is. And at that price point as well, with knowing what we could pay for Ozan Kabak, it could be what, 50? I think Sam Maguire put out a piece on this earlier on. It could be something like 56 million quid or something for Konaté and Ozan Kabak. Now, that ain't shabby, folks, if you ask me, for 2 21-year-old centre-backs. That would be a very good piece of business indeed. When you look at the price, maybe you go out there and pay for a Jules Koundé, who's top class, or a Koulibaly, who's getting on in age, or Kalei who probably cost somewhere around the 40 to 45 million mark on his own. We could get 2 very good, young, promising centre-backs for the price of what we would normally have to go out there and pay for an established centre-back. And these guys are fairly established in their own right. I mean, you know, both internationals, both have played a lot of club football, and Kabak could be an absolute bargain at 18 million. Ben Davies said, I prefer Kalei. He's better on the ball and has great long passing. Also, he can play as a left or right centre back. Look, we know about the interest in Kalei, and I'm sure, and I know that the club will have kept an eye on him for the second half of that season. Croatian international, very well thought of, 24 years of age if my memory is correct, a bit further along in his development perhaps, maybe hence the price tag being a bit higher for him. And yeah, I wouldn't rule it out. I'm just saying at this moment in time, Konaté probably looks the more likely, but I wouldn't go as far as to say anything is nailed on, because unless I know 100%, I'm not going to come on here and tell you lies. It's not what I do. I come on, we talk about news stories. If I happen to have a little bit of extra stuff, I'll give it to you, of course. And in this case with Konaté, we do. We do have somebody who has a good line of communication to the original story. Let's put it that way. What else have we got? Sign Konaté, Coutinho. Nah, you can pass Coutinho. Donny van de Beek, Malen. Malen is somebody I want to talk about as well, by the way. So this is the kid from PSV Eindhoven. We all know Jurgen Klopp has prioritised looking for an attacking player this summer. Now, we've gone the links to Patson Daka, and then we've got this guy as well. I think I have notes on him here. Let me just one second. Let me just pull this up. Do I have notes on him here? I do. So a story came out today to say that Liverpool are ahead of Juventus in the race for Malen. So the PSV forward Malen is once again being linked with a move to Liverpool. The 22-year-old is regarded as one of the brightest talents across Europe, and reports seem to suggest that a move to Anfield could be on the cards. According to Gazzetta dello Sport, Liverpool have joined Juventus in the race to sign him this summer. Not only that, the report also states that Liverpool are now favourites to sign Malen at the end of the season. He's a Netherlands international, played alongside Gini in the defeat to Turkey last week, and is having a very good season for PSV Eindhoven. Again, this doesn't surprise me in the slightest. Him and Patson Daka, they are exactly the type of players that I would expect Jurgen Klopp and Liverpool scouts to be looking at. I have to say, of the two, I would know a lot more about Patson Daka, because obviously we were linked with him longer and it gave me more time to get to know him. But anybody I've spoken with in the brief time I've had, or the clips that I've watched, and look, I know YouTube clips can make even me probably look good, but he does look like he's got something about him, and he does look like an exciting young talent. And again, it could be another clever, brilliant, astute piece of business. Now, this isn't Kylian Mbappe, this isn't Haaland, this isn't Jadon Sancho, but we've got a Harvey Elliott coming through. We can make our own Mbappe's, Jadon Sancho's. You know, we can turn these players into superstars. Now, I'm with the rest of you. I'd love a Kylian Mbappe. Of course I would. But these are realistic options that may or may not be dependent on Champions League football. These could be achievable one way or the other. So, you know, let's not rule out maybe a marquee signing. The truth is, none of us know at this moment in time because we don't know where the club's financials will be at the end of the season, if we'll have Champions League football, whether crowds will be fully back in next year. Loads of stuff that we need to work through. You've also seen links today suggesting that Mohamed Salah could be on a move, but where? This is where I always ask, where? Who has the money? Nobody. Because we have the same problem with Harry Kane. Harry Kane has been told by left, right and sundry, or everybody, that he should leave Spurs. He should leave Spurs. He's 3 years left on his Spurs deal. He should move on to pastures new. But who's going to have the money to come in and get a Harry Kane? Manchester City? Perhaps. I mean, news just broke, apparently, before I started going live here, that Sergio Aguero is certainly going to be leaving at the end of the season. So we know there's going to be a space. You know, the smart money will probably go on City looking to try and get Haaland in. But could they be tempted to turn their sights to Kane? I don't know. But there aren't many clubs around the world right now who are in a financial position to bring in a Salah or a Kane, or even to make an offer. An offer that any of these clubs would realistically look at. Liverpool have no intention of selling Mohamed Salah. But that doesn't stop the rumours from going around. There's another one I want to address as well, by the way. You've probably seen this. In regards to little Suarez to Liverpool, Firmino perhaps to Atletico Madrid. Now, first and foremost, I could understand why Atletico would be interested in Bobby Firmino. He's an Atleti type player. You can see that easily. But we're not going to let him go to bring in Luis Suarez. A 34-year-old player who, yeah, I wouldn't mind coming in. He was a backup to come off the bench or, you know, play 20 minutes here or a little game there, but not at the expense of Roberto Firmino. Anybody who believes that, that's nonsense. Liverpool are not going to sell Roberto Firmino to Atletico to bring back Luis Suarez, who's on a free, by the way, in the summer, or potentially on a free. So we can put that nonsense to bed right away. So you're going to see a lot of that. And I warned you about this when we were drawn with Spanish club in the Champions League as well, that you're going to see more and more bullshit stories coming out of Spain, linking our players with moves to the clubs left, right and sundry. It's all there to try and destabilise Liverpool ahead of this Champions League quarter-final. And don't let it fool you one bit, ladies and gents, because 99.9% of the stuff will be absolute pony of the highest order. How old is Bobby? 29, I believe, off the top of my head, if my memory is correct. But they're all around that age. Mohamed Salah, Sadio Mane, Bobby Firmino, they're all in and around 29, 30 this summer. So, you know, in this day and age, 29, 30 is the new 27. So these guys are going on now to 35, 36, 37. Because they're looking after themselves a lot better. They don't let themselves get out of shape in between seasons. And football science and sports science has come a long way since the days of players, you know, having to retire at 31, 32 perhaps. What have we got? Inglesy001 says, no Suarez, no Coutinho. We lost those guys. Yeah, look, I'm not a fan of players coming back to football clubs, with the exception of when Rafa brought Robbie Fowler back. I was all over that. I mean, I was smiling like a Cheshire cat when that happened. I won't lie to you. And do I mind the idea of Suarez coming back for a season? You know what? No, it doesn't disgust me. It doesn't disgust me if he was on a free transfer with reasonable wages and he was going to come off the bench for the last 20 or play in the FA Cup or give us a little option. But, you know, if he was to come in, he'd certainly be further down the pecking order than he would have been. And is that something that Luis Suarez would want towards the twilight of his career? I don't know. So, you know, we'll follow that one on Bullshit Island for the time being. Julian Brandt in, Shaqiri out, said Shaq. Look, I've said for a long time, I've every belief that Shaqiri and Origi will be gone in the summer. There's still a lot of people out there who are massive fans of Shaqiri, and I don't want to disrespect those people, but my opinion is that he's done nowhere near enough at the club since he's been here, through a mixture of injuries and, I don't know, maybe just not being picked, I'm not sure. Now, he has had a few moments, it's unfair of me to say it, and I'll always go back and agree that at the price we got him for the Stoke relegation clause, it was a risk worth taking. But, you know, I think we will see them move on this summer. What else we got? Really good talent, Craig. He can play positions across the front three. Generally can see him play as a striker if we change formation. I'm not sure who that was in relation to, Delwyn. I'm gathering it was probably the kid from PSV Eindhoven. I'd be surprised if we secure Mbappe. I'd love him, but I don't think it'll happen to Bernadette. I'm the same, Bernadette. I mean, look, we've all had the Mbappe dream, haven't we? And, you know, until he goes elsewhere, we're allowed to have that dream. But if we come back to reality, the financials don't really add up, do they? I mean, let's be realistic about it. I'd love to be on here talking about Kylian Mbappe coming to Liverpool. As me and Steve Boo said in our Discord group the other day, we'd probably both end up running around their estates naked if it happened, screaming about him. Like, it would be that level of shock. Oh, by the way, if you do want to come into our Discord group or you do want to become a member of Anfield Agenda FC, all you have to do is hit that join button. If you don't see it, you can become an official member by going to the top of the chat right now. There's a pinned link there to become a member, or there's one in the description. It's $4.99 a month to join Anfield Agenda FC. What does that get you? Well, it gets you into our Discord group, and that's particularly fun coming towards the end of the season and into the transfer window, because we give those guys the bits of stuff we wouldn't really feel comfortable bringing into the chat here because we couldn't stand over it as much, or we're not 100% certain of it, but we do get fed a lot of information, and it's easier to throw it in there because people understand it might not be nailed on, or it might not be as serious as the interest we'd bring to the channel. You also get the Anfield Agenda logo beside your name. You get a list of all those cool emojis that you see in there now that we use during games and stuff, and you get the your name appears in green to me and other people who are members, making it easier to spot your comments and stuff like that as well. And we're working on a lot of stuff coming for next season, folks. A lot of new tech going to be coming in over the summer. We could even be redesigning maybe a few things as well. So, you know, keep it tuned. We have a lot of interesting stuff coming up. Thoughts on Aguero leaving? Again, he will go down as a Premier League legend, no doubt about it. And it's probably the right time for Aguero to leave Manchester City. But, you know, for me to sit here and call him anything else other than world class would just be silliness. I mean, it was probably going to happen, and he should and will go down as a Premier League great, I think. So, you know, that's all I'm going to say, because it's a Manchester City thing. Who's this that became a new member? Mark. Sorry, Mark. Was it Mark? It's so hard to see when it's in blue like that on the green. It's who was it? Mark LFC UK. Welcome to Anfield Agenda FC. Sorry, it's just so hard to see when you're already a mod, mate. The blue writing there on my screen was really hard to see. Welcome back, mate. I mean, you're here, 6 months at least now, because you've got the red Anfield Agenda badge. So welcome back, mate. Puskas is a god said, I take Suarez back for free. 19 goals this season, granted in a weaker league, but he'd be better squad player than Origi or Shaqiri, and is bigger, better scoring goal threat than Bobby. Good to bring on. I mean, it's great to see Diogo Jota, by the way, banging in too for Portugal as well, just to show that he's the real deal again the other night, as if we doubted that, but great to see him. What have we got? Minion said, I'd just like to point out that Thomas Tuchel will most likely make a push to get Mbappe to come to Chelsea, depending on Chelsea's transfer budget. Again, I don't know what their working relationship was like at PSG, mate. We know Roman Abramovich, they have been linked. I mean, I won't lie, I've seen them linked, and I've seen them linked to Haaland as well. But interestingly, while we're talking about Chelsea, there seems to be more and more pace gathering around a potential interest of Liverpool in Christian Pulisic, which on the face of it sounds like nonsense. Why would they sell to Liverpool? Why would they sell somebody who has that much potential? I'm still fuming that we didn't get him at the time. You go back, watch my streams back then, I was saying Christian Pulisic would be perfect for Liverpool for so many different reasons. And I don't know if there is or isn't any truth to this, or maybe if it's just his representative maybe putting a bit of pressure on Tuchel, trying to get a bit more game time from. I don't know. I genuinely haven't got a clue, but I would love the idea of it. I won't lie, folks. I'd love the idea of Christian Pulisic coming to Liverpool. Did I see the Ireland game? Yes, unfortunately, Shane, I did. And if you didn't know why I don't watch international football before, do you know what I mean? That defeat to Luxembourg should pretty much sum up why I don't watch it. What have we got? Hey Craig, would I take Coutinho back? Absolutely not, mate. I mean, my point is always been, when he was here he was brilliant, but he left and he went to Barca, didn't work out. Went on loan to Bayern, they didn't want to buy him. Went back to Barca, hasn't really worked out. So, no, I wouldn't take him back, mate. He made his bed. And look, it might be a bit harsh, it might be a bit vindictive, but that it hurt when he left. It really did, because he promised to give Liverpool the season, and then, you know, he had a back injury that you know, he left in January. But no, I wouldn't, in long and short. A couple of other goalkeeping things actually that's been doing the rounds as well. So Again, we've been linked with the goalkeeper that we've forever been linked with, which is, of course, Ozan Kabak. Plays for Trabzonspor, I think it is. And again, Liverpool scouts are apparently in attendance to watch him play in Turkey in a World Cup qualifier. This comes from Assist Analyse, I think it is, claiming that via Rousing the Cop, claimed that Liverpool were sending their talent spotters to monitor the 24-year-old Trabzonspor keeper play for his country, and identified him as a potential replacement, for Adrian, and to try and push Alisson on a little bit. Now, like me, your first reaction is going to be, whoa, Pedro, hang on here 1 second. What happens if we bring in Ozan Kabak? What happens to Caoimhín Kelleher? That's the real problem in all of this for me. Is I've seen too many good Liverpool young goalkeepers, or hyped Liverpool young goalkeepers, come up and never get the chance. So if this was to happen, surely it would mean that Caoimhín Kelleher is going to go on loan somewhere to get regular first team football. But Ozan Kabak isn't the only goalkeeper that Liverpool have been linked with in this window. The Genk goalkeeper as well, whose name is Martin van der Voort, I believe. Calcio Mercado claim Liverpool are looking at him. He's 19 years of age, but Roma and Real Madrid are apparently keen on him also. He was the youngest goalkeeper to appear in the Champions League, aged 17 years, 287 days when he did it in 2019. So, it looks like we are looking at goalkeeper options as well. But I genuinely hope it's because they want to give a loan to Caoimhín Kelleher so we can get experience, because I rate Kelleher, I really do. And yes, I'm a little bit biased because he's Irish, but I do rate the guy. Glyn, Jordan, welcome to Anfield Agenda FC, my man. Welcome to the family. If you are looking for the link to the Discord group, buddy, please do check the community tab of the Anfield Agenda YouTube channel. On there, if you are a member, you'll see the link to the Discord group, buddy, and I hope to see you in there later on. I usually pop in a little bit later on at night time when I have a bit of free time to have a chat with everybody. Right, what else we got? 239 days for injury in the 1920 season. Yeah, I've gone through it all, mate. We've done it already. We've gone through all the stuff about the... for those coming in a bit late, again, we're talking about Konaté, and I'll go over what has happened today. So Konaté's been linked to Liverpool. David Ornstein broke the story, said that Liverpool are quite far along. He's got a €40 million release clause. He's got 1 year left on his deal at Leipzig at the end of this year. And people keep pointing to the injury record. But if we look at it in more detail, and there's been a couple of great threads on Twitter about this, by the way, it really stems back to 1920 right the way through to 2021, to July 2020, when he had that injury, what was it, torn muscle fibre injury. That's all the same injury. That was one long injury, even though there's 3 spells listed on Transfermarkt as being out for 36 games in total. But it was one injury that never healed right, or at least wasn't treated right, and maybe was rushed back a little bit too quickly. So yes, he has had an injury record, but most of that is one serious injury, just broken down over 3 different periods for some reason. Maybe he came back, played a game, got injured. I don't know. I wasn't around at that time to keep an eye on him, but he's not injury prone. He's somebody who's had one bad injury. And yes, you can't point to this season and say that he missed 9 games with an ankle injury, but that could happen to absolutely any player at any time. When I look at injury records for people who are injury prone, I tend to look for things like muscle injuries that are repetitive, or a back injury that keeps flaring up, or a really iffy knee that maybe has a couple of operations on it, stuff like that. I think it's very unfair at 21 years of age to call anyone injury prone, but I also think it's right that the club do their due diligence and have a look, and of course they'll get access to his medical records at one point, and they'll do all the scans and all the tests necessary. I'm more intrigued to see if we pay the full release clause, though, if we're to go for him. That's what really intrigues me on this. Thoughts on the league kit for next season? It's really funny you mention that, mate, because I just made a video about them before I did this stream, and that'll be dropping around lunchtime tomorrow. So I have a look at the 3 Liverpool kits that have been, I say leaked, we can't say if any of them are genuinely 100% legit or not, but the 3 most leaked ones I did a review on. That'll be out tomorrow, so make sure that you check that one out. It should be dropping around lunchtime, I think. We're going to try and make sure that we get you out a video, a short pre-recorded video every day, as well as a late night agenda. Jack's going to try and do maybe a daily stream here or there as well. And we're really going to try and up the amount of content we can pump out here on Anfield Agenda as we look towards the summer and next season, of course, as well. So as always, We ask you guys for your support. Don't forget, if you do enjoy what we do, a couple of things. Hit that subscribe button and let people know about us, because we really want to push on to that 100k. Don't forget to drop a like on the videos, but most importantly, notifications, notifications, notifications. We could go live at any time, particularly in the summer with the transfer break and news and stuff. So make sure you've got your notifications turned on. For more information as well, you can check out Anfield Agenda's Instagram account, which gives the most up-to-date information really of all our socials. Connor takes care of that one. It's just at Anfield Agenda on there. Same on Twitter. We're on Instagram, as I said. We're on TikTok. We're everywhere. Do you know us? We're everywhere. WFM, folks. You know what I mean? WFM. I hope I'm not coming across as too nervous, by the way, because I did say at the start of the video, even though it's only been a 4-day break that I've taken off, I felt very nervous setting up again today to do this. I don't know why. Whenever I do take a few days like that off, the first day or two, I take a little bit of time to settle back in and get into, I suppose, a rhythm. I'm someone that's whole life is a routine. So if I go through 4 days off, my mind gets used to having time off, and I kind of get a bit lazy, and I don't, I feel like, I can take another day off. But if I keep just grinding stuff out like I have been, that's where I'm probably at my best and most normal. So yeah, I'm glad I took the days off, because I slept like a baby. I won't lie to you. I felt like I've hibernated for the last 4 days. I've been sleeping crazy amounts of hours, but it's good because we're going to have a really busy end to the season, and I want to make sure that I can do as much content on here and of course on Mundo Sporto as well as we can. Any news with Suarez coming back? Covered it all earlier on in the stream, mate. Why don't FSG stump up for Genie's contract? Stupidity manifests. I don't know. It's the honest answer, mate. I mean, none of us really want Genie to go. We all like Genie Wijnaldum. We all see what he brings to the team. I'm sure the manager does as well. But there is clearly an impasse here as to what Liverpool feel his value is over the course of 3 or 4 years, or whatever the extension that's on the table. Because there is still an offer on the table for Genie, but that offer hasn't been approved by the looks of it. We've seen links suggesting him going to Inter, to Barcelona. And at this moment in time, everything is up in the air. But the club will, of course, be looking at potential Genie replacements. We've seen Rodrigo de Paul and a few others noted as well. Nicola Barea and a couple of other players that you'll see floating about as well. But I agree with you. I would love to see Genie sign on and stay. And until it's absolutely 100% confirmed that he's not staying, I'll, like many other Liverpool fans, hold out a little bit of belief that maybe there's still a chance. Although, I wouldn't put any money on it, put it that way. Reckon Konaté will cover at right back and Nico head out on loan. It's an interesting option. I mean, yeah, that is always the problem. Trent pushed his way ahead of Kleiny very early on in his career at Liverpool. I can't see Nico Williams really pushing Trent out, but we do need to have cover there, as you've rightly suggested. And you said Konaté can play there. We know Fabinho can play there. I'm sure there's another couple of youngsters coming through as well. Jack Gill will be the person to ask on that, because Jack keeps an eye on the academy stuff. And I genuinely have no idea what's happening with Nico Williams, mate, whether he's going to go on loan or whether Klopp's going to keep him and try and get him a bit more game time. I'd be lying to you if I told you an answer, because I truly don't know. Thiago has been performing decently on the international break. Yep, came off the bench, set up, I think with a little flick, set up a goal for Spain the other night as well. We'll miss Genie a lot. Absolutely. Everybody to a man, woman, child, dog and goldfish that I've spoken to wants Genie to stay. I've yet to meet a Liverpool fan that thinks he should go, because I've got some Liverpool fans who think that we could get more out of him going forward, but that's more down to the system and the way we play than it is about Genie. Yes, in Holland he's a little bit further forward and we know he's capable as a 10, but he's just Mr. Consistency, and he can play in a whole range of positions across the midfield, and we all love him. So yeah, I agree with Ollie in the chat here that wants him to stay. We've done the whole injury-prone myth around Konaté, Johnny. It's just the laziest fucking thing to just say, oh, he's injury-prone. I read transfer marked and he's injury-prone. You got to dig into it a little bit. You got to look at exactly what those injuries were, how long they were for, why they happened. And as you said, there's some very good pieces on Twitter and elsewhere, some good threads on this. So do a little bit of a dive into this. To call a 21-year-old person injury-prone, I think is a bit harsh, to be fair. And I have explained in more detail at the start of the video, mate. Craig, Spanish Giants. Well, you can stop right there calling Real Madrid Spanish Giants anymore, mate. They are fucking broke as fuck. Real Madrid is what we should be calling them. Are looking to sign Francis the Viper Higgins. That's true. I mean, if they're trying to sign Francis, loads of people around the world now won't have a clue what this is about, by the way. But if you're Irish, I'm sure you know who Francis the Viper Higgins is. A goddamn legend is who he is, by the way. But yeah, if you don't get that joke, sorry, it's an Irish thing. But yeah, imagine they wouldn't have the money for the Viper Higgins with his range of vape shops and his businesses that he runs. They wouldn't be able to afford him. What else we got? Hello, please reply, you're a legend. Well, just because you call me a legend, Sean, you'll get a reply, mate. Thank you. Salah with 2 magnificent goals in the headlines. Did you see, by the way, I wasn't happy seeing Salah play for Egypt with people running onto the pitch after the game. Now, of course, I don't want to begrudge a young lad getting a photo, but where was the fucking security? Well, you know, we are in a world of COVID now, and Mohamed Salah has already had COVID, and with the different variants and strains, and I have no idea if he's been vaccinated or not. But I mean, we can't have it in this day and age where kids are just allowed to run onto the pitch and start hugging and trying to. Now, we understand he's a global icon. I understand he's a hero, and if I was a kid, I'd probably try and do the same thing. But I wasn't happy with the security response around trying to make sure that Salah was kept, you know, safe. And I'm not saying, and you know what I mean by safe. I'm not saying anyone's going to attack him, of course, but in the world we're living in, it didn't look right to me. What's happening with Kabak? The honest answer to that, mate, is it's all up in the air at this moment in time. But what I will say is, it's not an either or. I think if Kabak does well, both could be signed. Konaté and Kabak. Kabak still has time to prove himself, and we don't have to buy him. We have an agreement in place for 18 million. Plus a little bit extra in add-ons and stuff, that Liverpool have up until June to decide if they want to trigger that or not. But it isn't a done deal. It isn't something that we have to do. It was an option that Liverpool have until June. What's your favourite Liverpool goal the last 10 years? That's not something I can think of off the top of my head, buddy. Are you still doing Premier League darts on your other channel? Yeah, see, we were talking about this today. There's a bit of a conflict, right? Because the way the Premier League darts is working, so it's going next week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Then there's a break, and then they're doing another block of 4 nights in a row. So I will be able to do the Monday night, so I'll be able to do the opening night of the Premier League of darts, and I'll be able to do the Friday night of that week as well. But as we know, Liverpool are playing Real Madrid on Tuesday. We want to do a watch along because we have an agreement in place with One Football as well. So we've got to do a watch along on Mundo Sporto of the Bayern PSG game, and then the Europa League game, probably United Granada or Granada United on Thursday. So that kind of puts a bit of a spanner in the works to those nights for the Premier League of darts. But Monday and Friday, I will definitely be able to do a watch along of the Premier League of darts, Carl, and I will be doing it on Mundo Sporto. And if you don't know what Mundo Sporto is, folks, it's our second channel or our sister channel that we do non-Liverpool stuff on. There is a link in the description, by the way, if you want to subscribe to that channel, which is closing in on 16,000 subs, which is class. How's the international break treating you? Oh man, just dull, boring, honest to God. Nothing on telly, no new stuff coming out, no real football to watch because I'm not a massive fan of international football, and it has been horrendous. But I've been looking forward to today because today is the week we play Arsenal, so I can start looking ahead a little bit and know that on Saturday Liverpool will be playing again. So that always makes the week go a little bit quicker. Who should we get, Aouar or DePaul? I mean, I'd prefer Houssem Aouar personally, but you know, Rodrigo DePaul is a good player and having a good season again. I think his price has probably gone up a little bit, but straight choice for me, Houssem Aouar would be the one I'd go for. What about the Euros? Are you still doing it? Yes, we're doing it on Mundo Sporto, mate. We have an agreement in place with Boyle Sports to cover the Euros in the summer, so we will be doing that. Yeah, absolutely. Don't know exactly what games yet, but the biggest ones that will be there on each day we'll be doing. So yeah, we'll be doing them over on Mundo Sporto as well. So again, make sure you subscribe to Mundo Sporto. There is a link in the description, or just if you're on YouTube, just put in Mundo Sporto and it should pop up, and hit that subscribe button. What do I think of Liam Miller? Not much, to be honest. I haven't really given Liam Miller much thought, if I'm being entirely honest with you, mate. Mate, you say you don't want to spam, but you've spammed the same thing in 3 times. Keane, you've been in hospital. There is absolutely no need to inform me that you've been in hospital, mate. I hope you're okay, first and foremost. Let me say that, buddy. I mean, I'm sorry to hear that you've been unwell, and I hope that you're okay. But, you know, you don't ever have to report into us, mate, and feel like you're letting us down in any way. I mean, you're in here, and that's brilliant, and we hope to see more of you. But, you know, you've no obligation, mate. Just, you've got a spanner, and how do I say this without sounding like a dick? We don't have any expectations of our moderators. We understand that it's a voluntary thing that people do out of love for the channel, and we appreciate that. But we would never hold it against somebody, Keane, if you couldn't be around, mate. So what I'm trying to say in a kind of weird-ass, crazy, long-ass way is, don't worry about it, mate. You never have to report in or apologise to us. Your health is the most important thing, and to hear that you're feeling a bit better, or you're out of hospital at least, that's the most important thing to me, my man. So I'm glad that you're okay, put it that way. Did I watch Finding Jack Charles? I have it recorded, but I haven't watched it yet. I haven't had a chance to, but it is recorded on my Skybox, so I will be watching it. I want to just do a shout out to, I did a really, really good podcast with a young Irish YouTuber called Jake McBoss, and you can search his channel, or you can go to my Twitter if you're on, or his Twitter, and there's a link to it there. It was, I have to say how impressed I was with the young man, by the way. He's 18 years of age, he's living in Limerick, and he's created this podcast. I think I was episode number 16. And we spoke, and I have to say, time absolutely flew by. We spoke for 90 minutes minimum. And somehow, and I don't know how this happened, because I wasn't coerced in any way by Jake, he's a lovely fella, I ended up going into more detail about my life and my childhood than I have on any of my own streams. So if you ever wanted to know more about me as a person, and you know what drove me to the point I am now, or brought me to the point I am now, go over and check out the Jake McBoss podcast. Just search him. You can search him on YouTube. It's the most open and honest I've ever been about my life on anything. I delve into attempted suicide from my mother. I delve into the alcoholism when I was growing up, and all the stuff that makes me who I am. So if you're interested in my backstory, go over and check that out, because one, Jake is excellent, and at what he does, I think he's got a bright future ahead of him. He's a great podcast host. I couldn't imagine having that much calmness and ability at 18 years of age like he does. So, you know, we love to support other up-and-coming content creators here on the channel as well. And big shout out to Jake, because he was very professional in the way he went about things, and I think he's got a bright future ahead of him. And he's a Liverpool fan as well, which makes it even better. So please do go and check that one out, because I think it'll make you understand what makes me tick a little bit more, perhaps how or who I am really. Right, what else we got? What's your Arsenal Liverpool prediction? It's way too early in the week for that one, buddy. Way too early. Yes, Aguero is leaving City, Keane. By the looks of it, that was breaking just as I was getting ready to come on. What happened with Hot Mike? It didn't work out from a couple of reasons. It just wasn't a platform. It felt like we were going against our own audience, trying to get our audience from YouTube over to another platform, and it was sort of counterproductive, if you get where I'm coming from. But look, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to call that one a night. I'm going to record this week's Anfield Agenda podcast with Jack Gill now in the next 15-20 minutes. That should be out probably Wednesdays, usually when we drop it. We'll be talking about much more transfer gossip and that as well. Keep an eye out tomorrow for that video. I recorded a little review of the 3 leaked, and I say leaked very loosely, Liverpool kits about next season. That's going to come out tomorrow as well. I'll be back tomorrow night with a late night agenda as always, and just keep reminding yourself to hit that notifications button, because we're going to be putting out lots more daytime content now moving forward as well. So, you know, keep it tuned to Anfield Agenda. As always, thank you for your love and support. I really do appreciate it. You guys mean the world to us, you know that. If you can help us towards our 100k goal, you know what to do. Hit the subscribe button, let people know about us, and we're building up to a massive week of football. Arsenal and Real Madrid coming up. It's going to be bum twitchy, singy songy, baldy, angry. I don't know any other words you want to throw in there, but it's going to be fun. So look, folks, lots of love to you all.